Welcome to Issues Before Parliament. The winter session of Parliament commences from the 26th of this month and it goes on till the 23rd of December. It starts on the 26th and will go on for 2 days, which is a session to commemorate the Constitution Day and also to remember the architect of the Constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. But then during this important session, the government will be keen to get many important bills passed, including the GST bill, which is important for the government as well as for the image of India, which many people are still saying is the bright spot. Of course, the opposition will be keen also to raise a number of issues, and for that, before this session, as usual, we will be discussing and raising some of these issues with members of the important national parties in the studio. And to take us through Issues Before Parliament, we have with us Mr. Tarun Vijay, representing the Bharatiya Janata Party, Mr. Tom Vadakan, representing the Indian National Congress, Mr. Ritabrata Banerjee, representing the Communist Party of India, Mr. D.P. Tripathi,
CPIM,
Communist Party of India, Marxist, I beg your pardon, Mr. D.P. Tripathi, representing the Nationalist Congress Party, and Mr. D. Raja, representing the Communist Party of India. Well, we'll start with the ruling party, Mr. Tarun Vijay. Important session in terms of economic agenda and, of course, to back up the confidence that the world seems to have in India as the bright spot.
Certainly, we are hoping to have a very lively and enriching session this time. There are a lot of issues which need to be debated and thoroughly discussed in the Parliament House, and everyone is to be invited for contributing in it. The first 2 days definitely will be spent discussing the legacy, heritage, thoughts and vision of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. How far has we been able to realize his dreams and his vision, especially the condition of our scheduled caste, Dalit sisters and brothers, the number of atrocities and their development, their progress, their education, malnutrition, all these issues will be discussed. And in the session, we hope to have a very lively debate on issues like price rise, how it's affecting the common people, especially the poor people, the farmers, liberal class and housewives. These are the issues that affect the common population. Then there has to be a debate on the issues of tolerance and intolerance. There have been very important points that have been raised by a couple of sections in the society. We want them to be discussed threadbare. What are the issues, what are the incidents that have made them to make certain statements, and the other point about the tolerance and intolerance has to be also taken
so we'll take these points up a little later.
Honorable Prime Minister's foreign visits and many other issues.
So there are many issues.
Very
Let's see
important
what the
issues.
opposition has to raise. We'll start with the Indian National Congress. Mr. Vadakan, the last session was almost a washout, largely because of disruptions by the opposition. Here the government is saying that they are willing to discuss important issues which perhaps you were likely to raise. So what are these issues that you're going to raise?
We feel it's a good step if they bring out issues and will discuss all these issues, especially on the issue of price rise, intolerance, security issues, women empowerment. These issues are subjects which we are keen to discuss. Across the board, the entire opposition is united on all this. But subject to the Prime Minister's presence here, because I am told he's travelling, and he would be attending various other parliaments, but in his transit I do hope and pray that he is in our parliament too.
Session is not beginning today, he will be back here.
No, as soon as I'm told he's travelling, but we would like to hear him out, because we have heard him in Man Ki Baat. We would like to hear him in parliament, and that would be a good step if all this is discussed.
Mr. Banerjee, representing the Communist Party of India, Marxist, issues that will be raised.
What Mr. Vijay said and what Mr. Vadakan said, those issues are very important. Along with this, the issue of this agrarian distress. Farmer suicides are happening. There is no check on farmer suicides. In different parts of the country, these farmer suicides are continuing. So this is also a very major agenda. And this question of tolerance and intolerance, because we feel that the government unfortunately has been on a denial mode about this, because number of people, the people you may term people that they belong to a particular ideology, but these people, they are representing various sections of life, and they are giving away their awards. That has been happening. And the way recently these FTII students, this film festival is going on in Goa, the way the discrimination is there, actually all this thing is against the very idea of India. So everything it is good. As Mr. Vijay said, the government is keen to discuss tolerance and intolerance.
Yes.
This is a very major agenda. The attack on the Dalits, the way these young kids were stoned, and the reaction which came in from the government minister, that is the most unfortunate. So these issues the parliament needs to deliberate. Series of issues are there. Hopefully it will be a vibrant session.
Mr. Tripathi, what about the Nationalist Congress Party of India?
See, as far as we are concerned, the issues that have been just mentioned by Tarun Vijay, Mr. Vadakkan and Banerjee here, apart from those issues, I think the issue of neighboring countries and especially of Nepal is going to be very important, and we'll raise this in Parliament along with other political parties, because there can be differences between two governments, but why to create a situation where people are in trouble? Schools are not functioning in Nepal, hospitals are being closed, there are no medicines available for the patients. This is going to be a very important issue. Besides this, not merely the issue of returning the awards, but the question of entire intellectual community of the country, not only the writers, journalists, but scientists and academicians, all have come together against the growing intolerance in the country. And it is not merely intolerance, it is the divisive kind of efforts which are not being stopped by the government. No stern action is taken against. People holding constitutional positions are talking the kind of unconstitutional things. Look at the governor of Assam, who is talking about Hindustan is for Hindus.
We'll get Mr. Vijay to reply to this, but let's bring in Mr. D. Raja before that. Yes, let's finally get Mr. Raja's views on the issues that the Communist Party of India is likely to raise.
Firstly, we want Parliament to function.
Yes.
Winter session should not be the repeat of monsoon session. Parliament should function. For that, I think government should be more accommodative to the concerns, issues raised by parties in opposition. Parties in opposition do not raise issues for the sake of opposition. Parties in opposition do have the responsibility to reflect the concerns of the people inside the house. So Parliament should function, number one. While agreeing with many of the issues which are likely to be raised, I do think there is need to discuss certain specific issues also. One, because it is happening now, the plight of Indian fishermen, particularly Tamil Nadu fishermen, who are being arrested, harassed, subjected to many tortures by Sri Lankan authorities. And now Tamil Nadu has been passing through very difficult times because of unprecedented heavy rains and floods, and the relief is much sought after, and whatever the government has announced, that is not enough. That's what I feel. So that issue also will have to be discussed. While Tamil Nadu is facing rains and floods, there are other parts which are passing through drought. And drought relief is also
we've raised a number of issues, so let's focus now on a few. Mr. Vijay, the issue of intolerance was raised by all members, including yourself, and there were some specific arguments also raised from this side.
Actually, Tarun has said tolerance and intolerance. Actually, it is growing intolerance. The President of India had to speak for 4 times on that issue, and that is where we have to discuss.
I fully agree with you, sir. I fully agree, because India should be the first country where the freedom of thought, freedom of expression and freedom of faith must prevail supreme. And it has been the message of India since the last millennium those communities who were discarded and ousted and exiled by every other country, more than 80 countries, they found refuge and shelter and respect and honor at par with other people. We never discriminated, and those values have to be safeguarded and upheld. We are very eager, Raja Sahab, that whatever you have your views on tolerance and intolerance, all the phases must be discussed threadbare, that I said earlier. Everyone has his own say. Everyone wants to have a tolerant society. Nobody wants to live in an intolerant society. We have to create an India where all of us are proud of our society and the governance, and that is why we say that the debate has to be on. There are many facets. You have one point, I have one point. And secondly, about the unconstitutional sayings of some people, I fully agree. And especially those two our members of parliament who said in Pakistan very derogatory, very violent things against our Prime Minister, against India. They have to be discussed, and they happen to be the members of parliament. They border on, not border, many analysts say it was an act of treason, an anti-national voice. So they have to be discussed by those. Why did they say so, and why did they invite Pakistan to remove the Prime Minister of their own motherland? This is something against our own ethos. And secondly, the condition of our scheduled caste people, fishermen people. Government of India has always been in the forefront to help the fishermen and their families, and recently the number of fishermen being freed by Sri Lanka government has been increased.
There is much agreement on issues that are going to be discussed.
And Nepal, I am very thankful to you, sir. Nepal is a very, very significant issue. Whatever the Madheshi issue, what the government has to say, what government did its best to help the Nepali people. They are our blood brothers and soulmates. There is no other country in this world about which we can have these kind of relations that we have with Nepal. So these issues have to be discussed, and we have to reassure our Nepali friends that India stands with them, and whatever has been done, if they have faced some problem, it has to be mitigated by the joint effort. So these are the issues. FDI and reform is there.
Mr. Vadakan, will the parliament function? Because you know, at the end of the day, even they are asking that parliament should be allowed to function and debate these issues. Because last time round in the previous session, it was the Congress that didn't allow parliament to function largely.
It takes two hands to clap. It is the onus of the ruling party to ensure there's a two-way traffic. When there's a discussion with the opposition leaders, the Prime Minister must also be present. There was a mention that some members of a certain party spoke, but this should cut across the line, starting from the Prime Minister. When he's abroad, he should talk about the opposition and other parties also in civil language. There are other ministers who have spoken. I don't want to take any names, but this is a thing that should be effective across the board. It's not just the Bharatiya Janata Party, it is everybody should ensure that the honor of the country is the most important thing. There are certain issues I want to raise. Now, there are 6 bills on labor reform. Now, the question that I need to ask my friend here from the Bharatiya Janata Party, the bills are against the International Labour Organization Convention 144. Now, these are serious issues. Now, these are issues connected with the labour of this country. These are issues that need to be addressed, because if labour policy that is going to be adopted, per se, the labour reforms that are being passed in Parliament, I think there is going to be a lot of opposition, because the labour issue is going to be 6 bills.
But what about GST, Mr. Vadakan?
See, GST has 3 issues. One is the question of this 1%. The whole exercise was worked out to ensure that the surcharge, if you move from one state to the other state, and you have about the number of states, the taxation, the very purpose of the act gets defeated. 1% each state means you have to cap that. There's been talk about, today morning I read, they're talking about 18%. Between 16 and 18 was the, if that is agreed. Then the other issues about the adjudication. There are 2-3 issues this can be discussed across the board. And I think, hope and pray that GST is something which is good for the nation. Everybody sits across the table, but you can't be on the high horse and think that you can take the opposition for a jolly good ride. You need to be on ground zero, address the opposition, then things will
Mr.
look
Vijay,
up.
what is the plan
Mr.
with regard to
Vadakan, ground
GST, sir?
zero doesn't mean getting into the whale. We have been trying to accommodate, and the treasury benches this time were in the forefront that whatever you want to discuss, discuss. Whatever you want to have your say, you please have. But what do we do if you come unprepared in the House? You said we have to discuss this issue. The government agreed, and the honorable chairman said yes. Discussion begins. Now you were unprepared. You had not done your homework. You came without any notes. So then suddenly some spark came and said, no, we won't discuss unless Prime Minister comes here. So how can you have the House run like that? These are the issues that are very, very important for the country.
Yeah.
Mr.
Opposition
Banerjee?
thinks about it, and especially the GST, you have agreed on it, and you just recently said that it's a very good bill. Let us pass it. It is in the interest of the country.
is a
Mr.
two-way
Vadakan, let's
traffic.
listen
It's
to
a
the other
two-way
side.
traffic.
Our country is bigger, and the interest of our people is much larger and bigger than the interest of our parties or interest of our
That's
political
good.
gain.
That's good. That's
Fair
a good
enough.
beginning.
Mr.
Problem is
Banerjee,
what
yes.
Mr. Vijay said. I completely agree with that. The 1,000 years old civilization, assimilation has been the main slogan and the motto. No exclusion, only assimilation. But problem is when people like Yogi Adityanath in today morning, he speaks up that Amir Khan, if he wants to
You're
go
coming
away,
back to the
Amir
issue of
Khan must
tolerance
go.
and
No, no, no.
intolerance.
Amir
Okay.
Khan must go away. The population of India
Okay.
will come down.
Let's
If
move
this
on.
is
Let's
the-
move be-
no, no,
let's
okay.
move beyond
If
these
this
issues.
is the response,
that
then
You
Amir
have raised,
Khan
you have
has
raised the
made
issue
a
of price
very-
rise,
No, no,
for instance.
no,
Price
not
rise,
only
I
price
think this is
rise.
an issue that you all...
Easing-
no.
Not much has been said about this.
No.
Yes.
This easing
Amir
of
Khan
regulations.
insulted India.
No.
Amir Khan insulted the
Let me
people
finish.
who love
Let me
him,
finish.
who support him.
Let me finish. This easing of regulations of FDI in 15 sectors, including defense. When the country, you have problems of price rise, unprecedented price rise. People are in. We feel this is a left position. That this
fair enough.
easing of regulations in FDI 15 sectors.
Mr. Tripathi
that
has
will
not
be-
spoken for some time.
Just a
Sir,
second.
There has to be
with regard to
discussed
price
on
rise, let's
Mr.
raise the issue of
Ritu
price rise because all of
I
you
will
did
be
mention
very
it.
happy to
that's
discuss
what
even
I'm
the
saying.
price rise in pulses.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Why it happened?
Absolutely.
Who
That is
ordered
very
it?
necessary.
Why government had imported more than 2 lakh tons of pulses,
But Mr. Tarun
none
Vijay,
of the state government picked up.
isn't it the responsibility of the government to control the unprecedented price hike?
Sir, we
not
tried.
merely in pulses.
We
Look
want to
at the
discuss
tomato,
everything,
look at all
everything.
the essential commodities.
That it was
tried
because
but
of
failed.
the
Because
because of
tried
the
but failed.
These
That's
issues
because
have
of
to
the
be raised in
refusal
Parliament
of
and
Congress
discussed
government
somewhere.
to pick up the
What
dal,
is the
pick
economic
up pulses.
situation?
Mark.
The pulses were lying there at the port, but the state governments did not pick it up. We tried to bring down the price of the pulses, but we cannot be running. We cannot act as chief ministers of the governments which Congress
Okay.
people are running.
But there's
Not
Bharatiya
only
Janata
that, but there are
Party government
BJP
giving
governments.
prices.
Are the prices
Sir,
of pulses less in the
Mr.
BJP-led
Mr.
government
Raja
than the
wanted to come in on this.
Congress-led
Mr. Raja,
government,
your views?
State government. That is not the position, Mr. Tarun
Mr.
Vijay.
Tripathi, let Mr. Raja speak, yes.
You see, there are two major issues which are affecting the ordinary toiling people. One, of course, price rise. The other one, unemployment. Prime Minister goes on speaking about Make in India, relaxing all norms of FDI in 15 sectors. And Make in India is nothing but come and make profit in India.
Not making jobs in India, you don't think so?
Where are the jobs? On one side, Prime Minister talks about skill development. On the other side, there is no scope for job generation. That's why Prime Minister is keen to please the multinational corporations and corporate houses to create conditions for making business easy and making profit easy for them. But common people suffer. Unemployment, I am telling you, ask any man on the street, any woman on the street, they will tell you what is the unemployment in the country. And price rise, it is not as simple as Mr. Tarun Vijay tries to put it. It is failure of the government to strengthen and streamline public distribution.
I want to add,
just-
and you can answer this. You can answer this.
Well, you
Now,
can come
according
with a
to
quick
the
point
Labour,
and then let Mr.
And, Tom Vadakan rightly pointed out labor laws. They are all
no, I just want to say this,
against
then
the
you can
interests of
answer it.
working
You can
people.
answer it.
They-
No, you want
And the
price
left
rise?
parties have
No,
already
this
taken
is
up those
relaxing
issues.
of the
Mr. Raja, I would-
small factories. Employees less than 40 employees,
On
the
unemployment.
company can be electronically wound up. If you are planning to increase employment,
Already it is in
fundamentals.
practice in Rajasthan.
This is the labor law that's being planned.
That's precisely
Vijay,
the
there are all
job
issues
growth.
regarding
on this
unemployment. the
profit
stand
thing
on the-
and inviting the foreign companies to have Make in India successful here,
Make
I would like to
profit
say
in
that
India.
please don't
Sir,
make
let him
profit a sin. Profit is a good thing if it is a reasonable profit. And secondly, it is because of the Communist Party's misrule in West Bengal, there were no industries. Laborers were not
The
benefiting.
NSSO data,
Laborers
Mr.
were not
Vijay, the
benefiting.
NSSO
Profit is
data of
not
the
sin,
government
but
said
don't
that
make profit
Bengal in the last 10 years were even ahead of Gujarat.
Let me have my say.
Yes.
If you have industry, you have more benefits for the laborers. If you have factories running, if you have more investment from the foreign companies in any state, it is the laborer, it's the common people who benefit because that strengthens the infrastructure.
Yes.
No, I was just pointing out it was a NSSO data which said as far as the creation of jobs are concerned, jobs in manufacturing sector from 2004 to 2011, Bengal was ahead of in terms of creation of jobs than Gujarat. That's the NSSO data. That's for Mr. Vijay.
Okay, we've run short of time, so we'll go quick through the final arguments. What do you expect from this session? We'll start with you, Mr. Raja.
The government must be more accommodative. For instance, I am
very
telling-
short. So government should be more accommodative.
No. Oh, 1 second. Why I am saying this? Government has announced that first 2 days will be dedicated for Dr. Ambedkar and the adoption of constitution. But government did not think proper to consult the political parties and decide what we can do when we respect the
30 seconds, Mr. Tripathi, 30 seconds each. Yes.
See, talking about the legacy of Dr. Ambedkar and his contribution is good. We are all for it. Parliament must function, and this is the duty of the government to work in a style that there is debate, there is discussion, and Parliament functions smoothly. This is what we want.
Mr. Banerjee?
Yes, accommodative government has to ensure the functioning of the Parliament with discussion with the opposition.
Mr. Vadakan?
My submission is the current government has prioritized politics over governance, and that I think should end. And I hope and pray that this session would be a new beginning.
And finally, Mr.
We
Vijay.
hope to weave an anthem of togetherness in this parliament session. It is the contribution of every single party and every single parliamentarian that makes parliament rich and deliver to the people. We are accountable to the people, and everything else must be secondary before the benefit, before the welfare of the people. Unfortunately, what they say about the government, we are ready to accommodate every single thing. But in the last session you saw, whatever we did, we say discuss, we say speak, and they were refusing to discuss, they were refusing to speak. We hope this time we will be enriching the parliament and will be more accountable to the people of India.
Right, and so let's look forward to a very important session, the winter session, with both accommodation and accountability. And also, since the session is starting on the 26th and focusing on the Constitution and remembering the contribution of the architect of the Constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, in the spirit of the Constitution as well, which all of us look up to, we hope that we will see a very important and a good session of Parliament. Thanks very much for watching. Namaskar.